couldn't find my wheelchair. You know why? All of my friends took my wheelchair and run taxi with it.
I would do that.
They run taxi on the first farm block, the second farm block. Yeah, pick up one and ready, two and drive.
Hello everybody and welcome back to FiwiFewCents, the show where we talk about living with disabilities and, career choices along the way. And here to talk about it with us is Kevin Powell.
That's
Kevin,
me. That's
welcome
me.
to FiwiFewCents.
Well, thank you for having me. I was going to say welcome to my place, but yeah, thank you for having me. Sure. On FiwiFewCents. We might put in some dollars in there, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
We're open to sponsors. We don't
Indeed. We need some dollars to sponsor the show. FiwiFewCents,
There we go. See?
Yep.
Love that. All right, so we'll have a brief enough introduction for you, just to give the audience an idea of who you are, what you're about.
Thank you.
And stuff like that. So,
all right.
In 4 bullet points, here we have, he is a Calabar alum.
Calabar old boy. We don't use the alum term. We're old boys. Yes, we just get old.
Our second Calabar this season. Let's vet the guests now. So if we see Calabar, we're like, next season.
If you don't have Calabar, if you don't have Calabar in the season, that season not nice though. But so yeah.
Right. So he has a Bachelor of Arts in English and a Master's in Business Administration.
Yes.
He's the principal of the Jamaica Stock Exchange eCampus.
Correct.
Right, and he is a motivational coach.
All right, you got the buyer right. You got the buyer right.
Yeah, I try. All right, so welcome again to FiwiFewCents. Welcome.
Yeah, man. Respect.
So, before we get into the show, we have a couple of this or that.
All right.
Right, this is when you choose one. The other one
can be discarded.
Yes.
All right, no problem.
Right. Those are your words.
All right.
One can be discarded.
Okay. All right. I shouldn't have used that word. Let's see. All right. Let's go.
Music or theater?
Music.
Okay. Theater for me.
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. Because I tend to fuse both. But music is.
Well, there is.
Yeah.
There's the fusion, but if we
music.
split them,
music.
I would go with theater. It gets easier.
All right. Cool.
SUV or sports car?
SUV.
Same. Books or movies?
Books.
Movies for me. UE or UCC? I've not told you it gets easier.
UE.
Okay.
Just because of the experiences I've had at UE, but UE.
Literature or business?
Literature. What you talking about?
Okay. I mean, I don't know. Well, I read. So literature, I can't choose business admin because I've never done a business.
Okay. What was your area of specialization?
Is communication.
Okay.
Yeah. God's willing.
It's literature-esque. It's literature enough.
This year.
It's literature enough. So you'll join me on the ranks of literature for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Communication. I have no read.
All right. So this is FiwiFewCents. We've given you the introduction. So what I want you to do now is I would like you, because in the title we said that we're talking about living with disabilities.
Yes.
And then career choices after the fact. So we'd like to open with a brief explanation from you. What your disability is, and just anything else about yourself maybe that you feel like we may start that you would like to share.
Sure.
Outside of that.
All right. So living with disabilities, I have a disability called, wait for it, Arthrogryposis.
I tried pronouncing it.
Yes. Don't try to pronounce it. This is many years of attempts to pronounce it for me, so I've gotten it right this time. Arthrogryposis. It's a condition that affects your joints. Joints primarily in the legs, but it actually could be any joints in the body, your hands and stuff. Mine was just limited to my leg, the joints in my legs. So when I was born, my legs were folded, literally folded like this. And so I had to do surgery immediately. Bless Sir John Golding, the late Sir John Golding, father of Mark Golding, by the way, who was the professor, the orthopedic surgeon at the time, who performed my surgery. Did brilliant surgeries, excellent surgeries back in the day when he was alive, on many persons with disabilities. So he was the one who's responsible for having my legs look normal, straight, because as I said, they were folded like this. And so that began my living with a disability, so to speak, because I now had mobility issues that had to be corrected through wearing corrective shoes, using mobility canes or crutches, as we call them. And I had to literally live my life in that mold of, okay, how do I move from point A to point B? So whether it's going to be using crutches or using a wheelchair, I used wheelchair for about 5 years of my life when I was at Calabar, only for the functional purpose that, you know, you had to move from class to class. And so it became a little bit more functional than using the crutch at the time. But that was really what I had to deal with. I spent much of my formative years, as well, early years as a child, doing one surgery after the other, because you had to do surgery to get the leg straight. Then after that, you had to do another a corrective surgery. My last surgery, I believe, was when I was 12 years old. That was the last surgery that was performed to just get me to the legs and the joints and the hips and everything to be aligned so that I could walk a little bit better with the crutches. So I've had to deal with that. But living, I like the title that you have chosen, because living with a disability really just means that the disability is not going to cause you to not live. Living means being functional, doing everything that you know you should do as a human being. And I'm glad we chose this conversation, because a lot of people, I think it's getting better now, but back in the day when I was growing up, there were disabled people that were alive but weren't living, because society didn't have the facilities and didn't give them the kind of autonomy to live their lives. So living with a disability is a good topic. And I often say in my motivational conversations that we can be disabled without being physically disabled, because the disability is not limited just to having a physical impairment. We are disabled emotionally, spiritually, mentally, all kind of alley, right? And so as you recognize whatever your disability is, or things that inhibit you from doing something, you find a way around it and live, is the conversation that we need to have on FiwiCents. FiwiFewCents. We're dropping the few.
So wait, I just want to, the living outside of a physical disability, and you know, we have the emotional, we have the
social, spiritual.
So when you just started explaining it, I thought you were talking about those who have a physical disability usually latch on to one of those other ones already. And in my head, I was thinking, oh, so you know, kind of defeat themselves before they get to a certain point. But then it applies to everyone.
Everyone. And I mean, it would apply to those who have a physical limitation, because it's easier. You see, for example, one of the things my mother used to say to me, when I got older, is that a lot of persons, family members, community members, were concerned that, you know, you have a child with a disability. How is he going to feel when he sees his other friends playing? Or how are you going to feel when you see your siblings and your nieces and nephews running up and down, and your child is, you know, limited in that aspect? And she didn't have to worry about that, because she allowed me, my parents really allowed me to live a normal life. Notwithstanding, I had my mobility issues. I was outside. I was always outside. As an outside child, climbing mango tree, playing baseball. You used to play dandy shandy back in the day. We're playing dandy shandy with the girl pretty them too. We're doing everything to live as normal a life as we can, because yes, there is an impediment that is there. It's obvious. But once you are mentally able to say, okay, I am going to exist and live outside of this issue, then you will live. Then you will live. You will survive. You'll cope. Yeah. So,
it's not.
are you thinking about what kind of disability you have right now?
I mean, I might. Know that
all right. There you go. There you go. Well, because we all have one, you know. Think about it. After this interview, just do a little questionnaire to yourself. How am I disabled?
I do a survey. I just ask some people and get what they, and hear what they think would be mine. I don't think I would
easily recognize one.
Yeah. It would take some deep,
and it doesn't have to be something big and
that's
deep
what I'm saying.
either.
I might not
it
find
could just be a flaw or a fault that you think that probably other persons probably will have of you. You know what I mean?
Do you think just real quick, do you think being a perfectionist count as a disability?
It could be. It could be because again, remember, you know,
'Cause it
at
does
this,
limit you to
at
some
there you
degree.
go. A disability is a limitation. It
Mm,
limits
mm-hmm.
you from doing what the norm is, I suppose. So it could be. It could be. Some people might consider it to be a limitation.
So
Yeah.
there we go. I found one.
You found one. There you go.
All
So,
right.
but you're gonna live with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cause
Yeah.
that's it. You live with
Yeah.
it. Live with it.
I've had to, given the space that I'm in, which
Mhm.
is media.
Mhm.
You know, perfection is nearly a myth because
Mhm.
it might be perfect to me, and then you watch
Murphy
it and
has
you're
something
like,
to say about that.
okay, there's that as
Murphy's
well, yeah.
law has something to say about
So
that.
can't really. So yeah, so you know,
Mhm.
you have to find a way to work around it.
Yeah.
So there was a surgery immediately after you were born.
Yes. So there's the surgeries. Couple of surgeries immediately after I was born.
Okay.
And then, as I said, my last surgery now was at the age of 12. No, interesting fact. I did that surgery while I was waiting for my well, after I did that surgery, it was in the time when I was waiting for my results, my common entrance results.
Mhm.
Back in the day, that is the pre-PEP generation,
Yeah,
pre-GSAT
pre-GSAT,
generation,
yeah.
where we're talking that you're not,
Common entrance.
not to age myself, but yeah, we're talking about common.
I was going to say
We're-
now we know
what we're
the
talking about
range is.
common entrance. I was actually in the hospital, on the hospital ward post surgery, waiting for my results. My father actually came in the room. I can't forget it, and he gave me the biggest. I saw the biggest smile on his face, the biggest fist bump. Calabar, me you, Calabar, and I was on the bed. I was in cast at the time,
Yeah.
you know, surgical cast and stuff. And my arm was come out of the bed. The way I was excited to know that my school of choice I had gotten. And of course, back in the day, you know, it was common entrance where your name appears in the newspaper. And I'm like, oh no, geez, that people and pet children who get their result on a slip of paper in the privacy and the confines of their homes and stuff. No, and them said, yeah, they said, yeah, no, the world would see that you are going to this school or that school, or you never got no school at all. You know, it was horrible back in the day.
Yeah.
But yes, I was literally in the bed learning that, and so few months after, because I had just done the surgery, I had to literally had to use the wheelchair, because prior to this, I was using crutches to go. When I was in primary school, I was using crutches.
Mhm.
Going to high school now, just starting first form at Calabar, my parents got a wheelchair for me because they thought, you know, it would be a lot easier. Bless them heart for that. And of course, I had to use that. Now, let me backtrack a little. I'm
Mhm.
coming from a school called Hope Valley Experimental School.
Mhm.
It's a school that integrates people with disabilities and, you know, normal people, so to speak. So I was in an environment where I did not feel othered. I didn't feel like a minority because
Mhm.
I saw people who had a disability like me, and I saw other persons who could walk normally. I'm going to Calabar now, where I am the only person.
The one.
I am the
One of
othered.
two.
And so that was something that I weighed heavily on my mind. Okay, am I going to feel different? And let me tell you, when I went to Calabar, most awesome experience. Not one day out of the 7 years I spent at Calabar did I feel any different from my other colleagues in my classes. In fact, you know, Calabar was so, you know, awesome. I would literally come out of my wheelchair, because I never liked it. I only use it to go about my business. But once I get into my classroom, I would literally come out of my chair, and I couldn't find it. Couldn't find my wheelchair. You know why? All of my friends took my wheelchair and run taxi with it.
I would do that.
They run taxi on the first farm block, the second farm block. Yeah, pick up one already, two and drive.
I
And
would do that.
and then I would be scolded. When I get home, I'm scolded by my father. Your bedroom, your foot that, you know, or you have your friend them, you know, I deal with a wheelchair like that.
I would do that.
And so, but that's how normal it was for me at Calabar. Like,
Yeah.
me literally, with my chair, and the body said my chair, and my chair would have been, collecting a
Man,
couple
just see
dollars already.
somebody just zoom
Yeah, man,
past the
Zoom
door with it.
pass. Yeah, oh, there it goes. Okay, yeah, we are still. I will continue. We continued with life because the wheelchair was just functional. It was just to get me from class 8. It was never. I was reading something just this morning, about somebody who said, who a disabled person from in the States who felt offended that somebody had used their wheelchair, the handle of their wheelchair, as a carrier for or a holder for some grocery bags. The person was in the bus, and the person literally just used the person's chair to hold to hang the bag on, and the person was really offended. I was like, well, if I were to be offended at Calabar about those things, I would live a miserable life at Calabar, because the boys, my friends, who just had me all over the place, had the wheelchair all over the place. And I did not feel, I suppose the only time I felt odd and just didn't fit in at Calabar was probably at PE time. PE, there's much that a wheelchair dude could do at PE. You know what I mean? Yes, that I didn't have a team that I could play football with. But outside of that, I had a pretty normal childhood growing up. For me, my biggest challenge was at UWI, to be honest, when I started UWI as a student. Because UWI was big now. It's a big campus. And you're now literally faced, whereas, other schools that I attended would have made, concessions for me. There was not much that you could do because of the sheer size of a UWI campus. So that was, if I recall correctly, the time where I felt a little more helpless than other times was my time at UWI. And even that never stopped me. Yeah.
So wait, so the thing is, right? And this is not particularly at Calabar. This is just at high schools in general. I personally think that it is arguably difficult for different people to survive in high school. So if there is something that is even slightly different from what is normal, I've always imagined that to be, life for that
It's
person
difficult.
would be
It is
difficult,
difficult.
especially in high school.
And I'm glad you raised that point, because the conversation now is going to switch now to talk about even things like what happened recently in Jamaica, the passing of the Disabilities Act. An act that now says that every educational institution in Jamaica must give access. That's and for me, the act doesn't even go as far as talk about other things that the disabled community will need. This is just literal access. Because thankfully, I went to Calabar, that the topography and the landscape of Calabar lent itself to a wheelchair and access. But there are other high schools in Jamaica. One of my choices was Arden High, and every time I pass Arden and I see those stories of buildings, I'm saying, how would I have survived here? Because of course the access issue that looked to me like would have been an issue. But just literal access. How many schools in Jamaica can we literally say is accessible to people who uses wheelchairs? And then of course you have other kinds of disabilities now. So access now has to involve persons who are hearing impaired. How do they access their lessons? Persons who are blind. We had blind students at Calabar. Calabar had a rich culture of catering to people with disabilities, especially the blind and the physically challenged. But you had to be in a classroom with people who were using their braille machines to type their notes. That's a level of access. How do they access? Are our schools equipped with the technology for people to access their lessons? Through those various means. So access is important. But you're right. And already there are different access issues for people who are abled, much more for people who are disabled. You know what I mean? So access is a particular concern, and thankfully the act now makes it unlawful for unlawful. If a disabled person wants to access any high school in Jamaica, he or she, based on the law, should be able to do so.
Okay, so before we go on to the act, because I wanted to talk about that because there was a thing in 2014 and then but before that, real quick, what do you think of the idea of creating specialized schools
Mm-hmm.
versus asking
E-
a general
as an
public
existing
school
school to
to
conform, to
yeah.
transform, and
But it
to
it
be.
just came to mind. I
Well,
just thought about
well, I think there's merit for both. I think there is merit to have schools which are catering specifically to the
Mhm.
needs of a particular community, and there are such schools. There are um, schools for persons with mental impairments, and for schools with persons who need special education schools. So there
Mhm.
are those. There is a place for that, I think. But I think there's also a place, and of course, you would need then, my friend, to create such a school in every parish in Jamaica, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's that
because
as well.
in
It would
every
need to
parish in
be.
Jamaica, you're going to have somebody who's disabled. And
Mhm.
what you find is that those specialized schools are oftentimes located in Kingston. And so there is going to be that access issue again.
Mhm.
So that is why now I think every school needs to have some amount of access to those persons who have various
Well,
challenges.
I don't growing up. Yeah, I'm still so at my prep school
Mm-hmm.
there was wheelchair access
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. High school, same thing. There
Mm-hmm.
were two
Which
and
high
three
school is
story
that, by
with
the
St.
way?
Catherine High.
Okay, cool. I
They
thought you were going to
were
say the purple school because
no.
the interview would have
No,
just
this
done
couldn't
right.
happen.
The interview would have done right, yes, so you
I
know that,
don't
right?
I don't think we would have gotten
Okay,
this far.
okay,
I
all
feel
right.
like I would have seen. I would have if I went to the purple school, I would have
Yes,
seen Calabar
and you
on
would say,
your bio,
and
and
he
I'd
would
be
say,
like,
nope, we're not doing this. All right,
no,
cool.
this episode can't
All
happen.
right, cool, good, good, good,
Let's-
good. We can coexist. St. Catherine is of no threat, so we're good. But yeah, you're saying no threat. I mean, we can deconstruct that later. But yes,
This is grounds for a
let's
walk off. No, this is grounds for a
no,
walk off.
we don't need a walk off. But
You know what? I'm
let's not.
only letting it slide
Yes.
because I didn't come here today to defend St. Catherine. Okay.
Indeed.
The only thing Calabar has, and this is in a specific area, which
Yes.
is track and field. The only thing that Calabar
Mhm.
has above St. Catherine
Yes.
is sheer number of balls. Okay, that's the only thing.
That's
That's
a
the
good
only
one.
thing.
That's a good one. All right,
Okay.
all right. You win the round there. Finish him.
All right, but
you're saying
I
about
was
St. Catherine
saying
High being
about being
accessible. Yes,
accessible.
let's stick to the script.
So,
Mhm.
in prep school, I noticed that it was wheelchair accessible. In high school, I noticed it was wheelchair accessible.
Mhm.
Certain establishments I went into,
Yes.
it was wheelchair accessible. So up until this point,
Mhm.
where I was looking into the Disabilities Act and
Mhm.
thing, I realized that it wasn't mandatory or necessarily required. It
Mhm.
was just the common decency.
Yeah,
of
common
these
decency
schools
of these
or
schools and our
establishments that
yes.
made it accessible.
Yes.
I didn't know it. I thought it was
You're
already
so right.
a
I
thing.
mean, and I know I'm it's perhaps as I say half a look is better than none, but perhaps disappointed that we took so long to get here. As you said, the act was done from 2004, but it took us another how many
4 or
years that
14.
like 2014, sorry. Took us another 7-8 years for us to get to the point where now the act is enacted. It's now gazetted and now in effect, because this should have been done from a long time. We have had members of the disabled community clamoring for time immemorial for us to have laws that protect us. And there are so many disabled members of the disabled community who have contributed so much to this country that I think it's a disappointment that we have allowed ourselves to wait to another decade now. It's now 2022 for us to get to this point. But as I said, we are here, and it's now, as you say, it's now mandatory. It's now a requirement. People who are building apartment complexes, and as for example, I was saying, okay, what's gonna happen to me when one day I have the $30-odd million to buy an apartment in Kingston? Because that day is coming along. Trust me, you best believe.
Amen.
I don't want the ground floor. I need to see the scenic view like anybody else who could access the 3rd floor and the 5th and the 6th floor. Are our buildings accessible so that a person with a disability can access the 6th floor to an apartment complex. And so that is now a part of the mandates of the law to say, okay, building developers, you need to ensure that your buildings are accessible. And as you said, there are many companies, many establishments who, out of their own volition and out of their own sense of corporate social responsibility, have included these access points for us. So kudos to them. But now it's no longer optional. It's something that you have to do. Yeah.
That's good though. But originally, like I said, I had thought it was already a thing, but now that it is officially a thing, I feel like we're making
progress. We are making progress. Lots more to do. For example, I say it all the while. Okay, look at our roadways. Our roadways are deplorable, one, but our sidewalks are not in any way, shape, or form accessible to people who use wheelchairs, who have to use a cane. So many holes, so many just things that we do need to take into consideration. And also, my brother, I often am of the view that, notwithstanding that the law is now in effect, there needs to be a cultural and mental shift in the population to see, for everybody to understand and see that we are well capable members of the society who need to be valued. And so in every single way, whatever you do, always just think about us in your planning, in the planning. I think that from the granular level of just ordinary citizens, we need to do more to think about the community and make sure that in everything, every barbecue that we're planning, every party we're planning, everything that we are planning now need to take into consideration.
Yeah. In one of my classes recently, we were going through the pre-production plan of putting on like a stage show or a production of like a very large scale, where like hundreds, like tens of thousands of people would be there. And in the planning, I think only one of the groups mentioned that there should be a wheelchair accessible part, and there was this ongoing discussion about, we don't have to, or even if we do,
can we not go party? Yeah, we not go party. We not go carnival and road show, right?
Yeah,
that is how society looks at it. Yeah, we don't participate in those activities, so there's no need to consider those things. But yeah, we do enjoy and have a social life. So the point is, every aspect of society, education, government, personal, whatever it is, needs to take into account members of the community in every planning that they are doing.
So, like, at least I can't think of any immediately. Well, I can. It's it's creating some awareness that there's still a life to be lived if you're disabled. So just like how there's a normal person.
So there is going to be the need for sensitization of the public, I think, with this.
It's a matter of how is I was leading that awareness. So like, what can you think of, or how do you think we, as a collective, can make the minds of the general public more welcoming, more accepting, more understanding?
It has to start, I think, with the community itself. The community needs to make its voice heard. So I'm always an advocate for inclusivity in everything, in terms of where are the voices of the disabled as it relates to different things. For example, there's a campaign on about vaccination, and you see all the celebrities on television advertising and saying, go out and get vaccinated. Where is the disabled person who's represented on an advertisement from the Ministry of Health to say to the disabled community, go and get a vaccine, or to say to everybody? So there needs to be inclusion of the voices of the community on every platform, radio, television, every aspect of print and other forms of media, to ensure that the message goes out that, listen, inclusion and inclusivity has to take place in our country for our country to move forward and to be really serious about the Disabilities Act.
Yeah, I don't remember his name now, but there is an Olympian who, I can't remember his name.
Alfonso Cunningham?
Yeah, is he the Paralympian?
He's a Paralympian. He's a Digicel brand. Yeah, Digicel, FiwiFewCents. Yeah. If you need to sponsor us, we
have your colors.
We have your colors.
Look at that.
Yes, I'm also a member of the community Digicel. We are here. Yes. But yeah.
Yeah.
Alfonso Cunningham is the person you're talking about.
All right.
Yeah. Hey everyone, it's your boy Kevin Powell here on the big show, FiwiFewCents. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And most importantly, live your life, man. Live it. I'm out.
So, as it relates to inclusivity, I mean, it's not much, and but I do recall from a good number of years now, there are certain ads, and most definitely from Digicel or one or two other companies that uses Alfonso as one of the faces for the campaign. And I didn't see it, like I said, no, because I was already aware from prep school and high school. I was already aware and understanding of those who are disabled, and I thought that there was already systems in place to take care of it. So when I saw him on the screen or on a billboard or wherever, I didn't think much of it. I know he was an Olympian, and is he still or was?
I think he's probably. I'm not sure if he's retired yet, because yeah.
So I know he is an Olympian and that he is also disabled. So when I saw it, I was like, okay, didn't think much of it. So there is him. I can't think of
anybody else. That's the point. I think that's the point. And oftentimes too, he's showcased because of course he's in sports, so you showcase the sportsman. But we are in every aspect and facet of life. We are in academia. We are in the church. We are in businesses. We are on the financial markets. We're in government. Senator Floyd Morrison, government minister, senator, who has done tremendous work in the field of access and the disabilities legislation. So we need to feature more, I think, ordinary people who nobody knows about really, who's not necessarily going to the Olympics every 4 years or however long, but there are so many of us in the space who can become a voice and make the representation known that, listen, we are everywhere. We are in every aspect and part of society.
Okay. So there are a few boxes that we can check right now to give testimony to being everywhere. So we know there is Alfonso, who's an Olympian. We know there is you, who is has a bachelor's in English and who has a master's in business admin, who is the principal of
the Jamaica Stock Exchange, E-Campus.
So there is sports, there is literature, or whichever other word you want to call it. There's literature, is English, there is business. So just those are 3 boxes alone that has been checked within just 5 minutes. So that gives testament to the idea that we're
everywhere, and it's important for the society to understand that we are everywhere, because I think the picture that is usually painted, which is changing, I must say, as the society becomes more enlightened, educated, and exposed, that we are everywhere. We are not just relegated to the children's home or places that they say, okay, all right, this is where you belong. But we are indeed planting our footprints and our feet in various locations and aspects of our society.
Okay. All right. So we've now brought up, your
career,
which is started out as, let's say literature major or English major. Then you transitioned into business administration, and you are now the principal of the Jamaica Stock Exchange,
E-Campus. Yes.
So I did an assignment, which I might convert into a grander scale passion project. It was titled Changing Course. It's when you start out one section in life, and then you either realize that this isn't your calling and you go somewhere else, or you start out in your calling and then life happens and you end up doing something. It could, whichever direction it goes, you're still changing course.
Or there's another part of the equation too, which I think I prefer better, is that your life is really a kind of a journey, and the journey just makes different stops, and you, when you look back at the journey, you see how all the stops add up to this one journey. So that is all. But in terms of that question about changing, So I started out in literature as a literature major. So I did my first degree in literature. I loved literature. I still do. It was, as I was saying to a colleague a while ago, who shall remain nameless and faceless, that literature was the only thing that I could do. Like, it's like drinking water, you know, it comes natural. You just breathe and it becomes easy for you to do. But I also, at sixth form, when I was in sixth form, I did a mixture of literature and the business subjects. I did accounting and I did economics. But literature was just the easy thing. So I went to UWI, did literature. But what underpinned all of that, the literature, the business, everything for me, was a passion for education. So that's the vehicle that led that what we use now to take us on various points in the journey. Education. I always had a passion for just molding the minds of young people and the minds of adults, anybody at all. At education now. So whether it was teaching people how to read and how to think critically and engage with literary texts, which I did for many years, or now teaching people about business and about the financial markets and about the stock exchange and so whatever aspect. So the common thread in the change of courses really is the vehicle of education, because now, although I'm not imparting knowledge in the area I'm currently doing, I'm making sure that the infrastructure and the administrative part of the e-campus facilitates the generation of knowledge and building capacity to people in the market space. So it's about educating the minds of our population. And I tell you, I cannot walk the streets of Jamaica. The streets of Jamaica. Yeah, so you mean I walk the streets, Medrin. I tried through Zion. I cannot walk the streets of Jamaica without seeing or hearing the name Mr. Powell from some, hyper student, from some excited student whose life I have touched. And I that's, for me, makes living with a disability worth the while, because it's about that. It's about, notwithstanding your circumstance, your situation, your impediment, your perfectionism, yes, sir, that what are you going to do to touch the lives of people, regardless of your circumstance? And that, for me, is the mantra of my life. That, for me, is where I say, oh, so this is why I was born like this, to make a difference, to be a difference, to make an impact. So that's what it's about. Living with a disability, living with an infirmity, living with any condition at all means, okay, all right, this is your lot in life. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to use your other strengths? Because make no bones about it, you might have an impairment in one area, but you have tons of strength in other areas. And so what you do, you leverage those, you capitalize on those, and you make sure that those other parts of your life are used to make a difference in the lives of the many people that you will touch as you journey through and trod through Zion, as I call it. Yeah.
That sentiment reminds me of a film I watched a good couple of months ago, where
Not Tinder Swindler.
no,
all right, cool.
I haven't seen that one, no. It was a case where when we die, we meet this big gate, and we meet someone with a book standing by the gate, and they ask you what it is that you did to help others while you were alive. And there are those who believe that it was riches that would have gotten them through the gate, and it was minor good deeds. But again, the being at the door kept asking, what did you do to help others in life? And I grew up on those principles as well, that whatever it is that you can do for others, do it. So if it's little,
do it,
medium, big,
whatever it is,
do it. Whatever you can do.
And
do
I might dare say too that sometimes you don't have to do a thing either. Just being who you are, literally just being the person you are, can also make an impact. There have been people who have said to me, I don't know you, have never engaged each other, but I admire your strength, I admire your courage, I admire this about you. And so just live your life, live your best life, And you'll be rewarded. People will see you living a good life, and they will even take courage from that. So do some, even when they're doing something or you're not doing anything, your life becomes a testimony to others, I think. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that's a good
I think so
closer.
too. And
Yeah.
we can end the conversation by saying St. Catherine High is a good school. We will end it there. Yeah, it's a good school. That's my last attempt. Yeah, yeah, the balls thing. Yeah, you did a good one there. That was good. That was good. Yeah, but yeah, St. Catherine High. It's a good
Yes.
school.
Big up.
Yeah, big up.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you for viewing. I've been your host, Kmanii. This has been our guest,
Kevin.
Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
This has been FiwiFewCents. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment if you have anything to say about the topics. And let us know your thoughts. So I will see you guys next Wednesday. Peace.
Peace.